Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to explore the life of a truly remarkable figure, Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufail. He lived in pre-Islamic Mecca even before the Prophet Muhammad
Yeah.
received his revelation.
hmm
But Zayd was already on this quest for truth that was, way ahead of his time.
Oh, absolutely. What's fascinating about Zayd is that um,
Yeah.
he represents this small but really determined group called the Hunafa, or
Okay.
Hanifs.
Yeah.
And they were essentially monotheists
Mm-hmm.
who felt deeply dissatisfied with
Yeah.
the polytheistic practices of their society. I mean, imagine the courage it took to just reject the norms of like your entire community
Yeah.
and seek a different path.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, what sparked this yearning for something more, something truer? We have sources mentioning three other individuals who shared Zayd's quest, Uthman ibn al-Huwaytath, Ubaidullah ibn Jash, and
Right.
Waraka ibn Nufal.
Yeah.
Interestingly, three of them, including Waraka, ended up embracing Christianity. So why did Zayd choose a different path? That is a question that
That's
historians and scholars have pondered for centuries. I think to really understand
Yeah.
Zayd's choices, you have to consider the the social dynamics of pre-Islamic Mecca.
Right.
It was a society that was so deeply entrenched in polytheistic beliefs and practices.
hmm
Idol worship wasn't just a religious practice, it was intertwined with their economic and social structures.
So for Zayd to reject idol worship, it was not just like a religious statement. It was a social and cultural
Rebellion, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And his commitment to monotheism, it was unwavering. He would often say, "My Lord is the Lord of Abraham, my religion is the religion of Abraham."
Wow.
And this wasn't just a casual belief, it was like the foundation of his entire worldview. He truly believed in the God of Abraham, the one true God.
And it wasn't just something he said in private, right?
Right.
He openly challenged
Yes.
these prevailing beliefs of Mecca.
Yeah. Our sources describe him refusing to eat food that had been sacrificed to idols, even though that was a common practice back then.
Exactly.
He even went so far as to proclaim his belief in the one God at the Kaaba, the most sacred shrine in Mecca at the time.
It's pretty incredible when you think about it. His actions were incredibly bold, considering the potential consequences.
Yeah.
But what's even more intriguing is that Zayd, without any, known divine revelation or scripture to guide him,
Yeah.
he intuitively practiced elements that would later become central to Islam. Like he would prostrate towards the Kaaba, for example.
It's like he was guided by this inner compass,
Right.
this deep-seated understanding of the true nature of God.
Exactly. And this yearning for guidance is so evident in his prayers.
Yeah.
One particular prayer stands out. He pleads with Allah, saying, "Oh Allah, if only I knew which of the ways was most pleasing to you, I would worship you in accordance with that way. But I don't know."
Wow, that's
It's a powerful expression of his sincere desire to please God, despite not having, a clear path.
yeah. It's almost heartbreaking, especially knowing the kind of persecution he faced for his beliefs.
Oh, absolutely. Zayd was, often subjected to verbal abuse and even physical violence for his beliefs.
Wow.
And what's particularly interesting is that much of this persecution actually came from his own uncle, Al-Khattab.
Al-Khattab, the father of
Yeah.
Umar ibn al-Khattab, the same Umar who would later become one of
Yeah.
the most influential figures in Islam.
Yes, the very same.
Wow.
This detail might seem like a historical footnote, but it reveals a lot about the complexities of the time.
Right.
It shows the deep divisions within families
Mm-hmm.
and within Meccan's society itself.
Yeah.
And it also kind of foreshadows Umar's own initial hostility towards Islam
Right.
before his, remarkable transformation.
Yeah. That's a fascinating parallel. Zayd's unwavering faith, even in the face of such opposition.
It's truly
Yeah.
remarkable.
Yeah. Did this persecution eventually lead him to leave Mecca?
It did. Driven by this relentless search for truth, Zayd embarked on a series of journeys beyond Mecca, much like Salman al-Farisi would later do.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Both men, driven by this deep spiritual thirst,
Yeah.
felt compelled to leave their homes in
Mhm.
search of answers.
Zayd traveled to Mosul, a bustling center of trade and learning,
Right.
and even further to Syria, known for its diverse religious communities.
It must have been an incredible journey, filled with new experiences and encounters.
Oh, for sure.
Did he find what he was searching for in these faraway lands?
He found knowledge, wisdom, and perhaps a sense of hope.
Okay.
But his most significant encounter was yet to come. While in Syria, Zayd met this learned scholar
Okay.
who gave him some unexpected advice. Instead of directing him to, like a specific faith or location,
Hmm.
this scholar told him to return to Mecca.
Wait, what? After all that traveling, he
Yeah,
was told to go back to where he started.
I know. It's kind of funny. But here's the
Yeah.
interesting part. The scholar told Zayd that the prophet he was seeking, the one who would reveal the true path, was about to emerge from his own land.
So after all that searching,
Yeah.
the answer was waiting for him back home.
It seems that way. Zayd returned to Mecca, filled with, like, this renewed hope,
Hmm.
unaware of the tragedy that awaited him.
Oh, wow. So Zaid returns to Mecca all excited, thinking he's about to, finally find the truth he's been looking for. But then you said there was a tragedy.
Yeah, it's really sad. Zayd was robbed and killed just outside of Mecca.
Oh, no. Are you serious? After all that, after going through all of that and coming so close,
That's unbelievable.
it's a tragic end to such a remarkable life. But even in his last moments,
Yeah.
Zaid's faith and compassion really stand out. According to the sources, his final prayer was this: "O Allah, if you have forbidden me from the companionship of your prophet, then do not forbid that companionship from my son Saeed." Wow. Even when he was dying, he's thinking about his son wanting him to find the truth that, he was looking for his whole life.
Yeah. It's incredibly moving. It's a real testament to Zayd's character.
Yeah,
I mean, he spent his life looking for the truth. And even when he was dying,
right.
he wanted that same guidance for his son.
Yeah.
It's
It
amazing.
makes you wonder if he had any sense of what his kids' lives would become. Did Saeed eventually find the prophet that his dad had been searching for?
He did. Saeed ibn Zayd became one of the first people to convert to Islam.
Wow.
He totally embraced the message of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
It was like he was fulfilling his father's dying wish. And there's another part of this story I think is fascinating.
Okay, tell me more.
So remember how Zayd was mistreated by his uncle, Al-Khattab?
Yeah, the father of Umar.
Well, Saeed ended up marrying Fatima, Umar's sister.
No way. So the son of the guy who gave Zayd a hard time for his beliefs
Yeah,
marries the sister of the man who becomes one of the most powerful figures in Islam. It's amazing how history works out.
I know, right? It really shows how powerful faith can be. Former enemies connected by family and a shared belief system.
Wow, that's amazing.
And this interconnectedness doesn't end there. We should talk about Zayd's daughter, Atika.
Yeah, you said earlier that she also has a really interesting story.
Oh, she does.
What happened to her?
Well, Atika bint Zayd married, get this, 5 major figures in early Islam.
5. Really?
Yes, and each one of them became martyrs.
Wow. Zayd's legacy of strong faith and commitment lived on through his children, but not in a way he could have ever pictured.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible. And we also talked about Zayd's actions to save little girls from being buried alive.
Right, that was a big deal.
Yeah, this was happening all the time back then, and Zayd is totally against it. He would actually step in and save these girls. It shows his huge heart and that he was always fighting for justice.
It's hard to imagine how brave he had to be to go against something that everyone else thought was normal.
Yeah, it says a lot about his character and that he knew the difference between right and wrong. And the Prophet Muhammad recognized how good and righteous Zayd was and that he would be in paradise. There's a hadith where the Prophet sees Zayd in paradise and he's dragging his garments.
What does that mean?
It's a big honor in paradise. It means God thought highly of Zayd. There's even another hadith that says Zayd has 2 levels of paradise waiting for him.
Wow, 2 levels. After a lifetime of searching and struggling and then a tragic ending, Zayd's life was rewarded. It shows that being dedicated to truth and justice never goes unnoticed.
That's right. Even if someone doesn't get to see the results of their efforts in this life, their sincerity and good deeds always matter.
Hmm.
They leave behind a story that can inspire generations to come.
So, we've talked about Zayd's search for the truth, his belief in one God, his kindness, and his tragic death. His legacy continued through his kids who became a part of the early Muslim community. But what can we learn from Zayd's story considering he never actually joined a religion?
That's a really good question.
Hmm.
Here's a man who followed his heart and conscience, his own understanding of God, without needing scriptures or a prophet to show him the way.
Right.
He questioned everything. He traveled far and wide. He talked to scholars, all to find his place, his people.
But his search wasn't pointless, was it? In a way, his kids found the community he was looking for when they became Muslim.
Yeah, it's kind of like Zayd's journey prepared the way for his children. His monotheism, his fight against idol worship, his pursuit of the truth, all those things led to his children accepting Islam.
And what's really interesting is the difference between Zayd's lonely search and how connected his kids' lives became.
Yeah.
Saeed marrying Fatima, Umar's sister, and Atika marrying those five important figures in Islam. It's like Zayd's personal search turned into this whole network of relationships and shared faith.
It's really beautiful. Do you think maybe this feeling of belonging, this interconnectedness, was what Zayd was searching for all along?
Yeah, it is interesting to think about how Zayd's story changes our ideas about faith. He wanted to find a community of believers, but he never really did during his life.
That's true. Zayd's life had this big sense of being alone, spiritually.
Yeah.
He was looking for something his society just couldn't give him, and he'd really tried.
Yeah.
He asked questions, traveled, talked to smart people, all to try to find his people, his place.
But his search wasn't a waste, right? His kids found the community he wanted. They
Yeah.
became Muslim and part of something much bigger.
Exactly. It's almost like Zayd's whole life, searching, led his children to their spiritual home. His monotheism, rejecting idol worship, searching for truth, all that led to his children accepting Islam.
And it's amazing how different Zayd's journey was compared to his children's lives.
Hmm.
Saeed marrying Fatima, Atika marrying those five important people. It's like Zayd's search grew into this whole web of relationships and faith.
It's a nice thought. Do you think that maybe this feeling of belonging, this being connected to others, was what Zayd was looking for all along?
Maybe he was looking for something that couldn't exist until the Prophet Muhammad's message came and there was a community of believers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It means that sometimes searching for truth isn't just about finding answers for ourselves.
Right.
It's about helping build something bigger,
Yeah.
something that might not happen until we're gone. It's like planting seeds for the future.
When you think about it like that, Zayd's life is even more important.
Yeah.
He wasn't just searching for himself, he was kind of searching for us, for a world where his kids and all of us
Yeah.
could belong, a community with faith and justice.
Exactly. And his story shows us that people who don't join a religion can still do great things. Zayd's search for truth, his compassion, believing in one God, these are important no matter what religion you are. They can inspire us all.
So as we finish our deep dive into the life of Zayd ibn Amin bin Nufail,
Yeah.
we have this question. What can we learn from him? How can his story inspire us to look for truth, fight for what's right, and help future generations, even when things are tough and we feel alone? These are questions we're thinking about, and maybe the answers are inside each of us. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time.